Hello, everyone. I am so excited to bring on one of my incredible badass clients, Liz, who is going to be sharing her journey and how she fully conquered binge eating. She is now living out her binge free life, and she has come so far along her journey, not just with healing her relationship with food, but being more patient with her children, having a better relationship with her husband. And you're going to hear inside of this episode how much her life has transformed. But I wanted to reiterate something. Liz decided to go all in. Liz decided to fully commit to this process. She said, if I am going to do this, I am going to go all in. So she started inside of the Root and Rewire membership. Then she went to Conquer only for like a month or so. And she's like, I'm ready for the highest level of support. And that's when she joined us inside of the academy. And Liz is someone who showed up to all the coaching calls. She implemented all the tools. She leaned into the community, which is why she expedited her progress. And now she's able to fully live out her binge free life. She also talks about how using my Root and Rewire process made a massive difference in her journey. And, conquering binge eating doesn't have to be overly complicated. Understanding why you binge, aka my Root and Rewire process, getting to the root of your binge eating. And for Liz, it was the fact that she was heavily restricting. She was binging because she was heavily restricting. And I helped her rewire her brain to start seeing food differently, that she didn't need just protein and vegetables at every single one of her meals, that she could release her food roles and not give into her binge urges. So as a result of using my Root and Rewire process, getting to the root of her binge eating, understanding why she binged and rewiring her brain, she found it so much easier to conquer because it wasn't this daunting process. And she alluded to, getting support from someone who has gone through binge eating makes it so much easier. You feel so much more safe to be open. You know that person, aka me, your coach, is going to understand every single thing that you're going through. And you're not the outlier, you're not broken. And I'm just so incredibly proud of Liz. And, I shared a little bit of this when she came on, but prior to her coming on, we had our academy call, and everyone was just saying the nicest things about Liz because, when you're part of my community, you truly become family, especially working with me in very close proximity in the academy. We see each other every single week, and I'm there for you. Like, I am your high level coach, your high level mentor. And it's just so beautiful to see all these ladies, connecting so deep with Liz. And it was fantastic that Liz was able to come to the Unstoppable Badass event. We all got to meet her in person. And wow, it's just been so incredible to really see her journey unfold. And I'm so excited for you guys to listen in because I'm not the exception. You're not the exception. Liz isn't the exception. Like, this is all possible for you as well too. And you just got to go for it. You got to commit. You got to get the right support. You got to go all in. You got to implement the tools because it will absolutely change your life. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on my incredible badass client, Liz.
Hello.
Hello, hello. Long time no see.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who are listening in, we just had our academy call and we have Liz on, and Liz has been an incredible client for over a year. And we have literally created such a special dynamic in the academy where it literally feels like family. And everyone was just getting so emotional and sharing how special Liz really is. And I'm excited to have her come on, share her journey, and really just show you guys like what is possible. Because from when Liz started with me to where she's at right now, with not just her relationship with food, but so many other areas of her life, it's literally a night and day difference. So I want you guys to listen to this and recognize that this could be you. That when you show up, you implement the tools, you put in the work, you can literally transform your relationship with food and your life as well too. So, Liz, let's dive like all the way back to the very beginning when you first started working with me and you jumped into the membership. I want you to maybe even don't even, it's like how like that felt so far away. It felt like such a different life you were living. But share with everyone kind of where you were at with your relationship with food. What made you even want to get support? Let's like go straight to the beginning.
Yeah. So I started binging when I was 19. I had a traumatic sexual experience, sexual assault, and it started then. And I'm 43 now, so a long, long time that I struggled with my relationship with food, my body. Um, for the most part, it was restriction. That's how it really started. And so from the outside, like my family and friends, they thought that I was just like very disciplined with nutrition and, I was over exercising like crazy. They thought that I was just fit. And like I kept it hidden from everyone, including my husband, for that entire time. Um, and I think it was really when I got married in 2016 and started sharing a home with my husband that I was like, this is getting really hard to hide. Like this, and it got worse and worse because I was doing it more secretly. Um, I went through periods where it was better and I was managing it a little bit better, and then periods where it was terrible. And um, then I had both of my kids, and I just came to a point I was like, I cannot live like this anymore. Like, I've got to do something about it. And I thought I was very self-aware and like, because this incident happened to me and that was the trigger for it, I just need to work through this incident and then I'll be cured. So I started going to therapy. I think that was in 2022. And it did help. I honestly feel totally healed from that trauma, and it was great. But the binge eating aspect, like in my therapist's defense, I wasn't completely honest with her about how bad it was because I was still so incredibly ashamed of it. Like it was just so, like the whole thing was just like, it just felt like this horrible secret. And so, I shared with her a little bit, but I kind of kept the depths of it to myself. And she gave me some tools to help me. It just didn't click. And I was like, I don't get it. Like I've healed from this trauma and this is still happening. Why is it happening? And um, then I found you. I, s- I, I was thinking back and I was like, I don't even remember how I found you. And then something in me a couple weeks ago, I was like, oh my gosh, I remember exactly when it was. I was like sitting, getting my nails done and popped in my headphones and I was like looking for a podcast to listen to. And I have no idea why, but your podcast popped up on my phone. And I started listening and I was like, oh my God. Like I knew, like I'd read a little bit about, I knew what I had, like I knew what binge eating was. But to hear someone who it was like so you were holding a mirror to me. It was crazy. I was like, oh my God, like every single thing that you were talking about, I've experienced. And then like you were explaining the basics of like it's this habit that you've ingrained into your brain. Like you're not broken.
Mm.
It's literally something that you need to rewire. And I was like, oh my God, like this makes so much sense. Like it's common sense, but it's not.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, the reason why I'm binging is because I was restricting. Like, duh. It just, everything clicked. And so I reached out to you and um, joined the membership. And I think that was like the beginning of 2024, the end of 2023. And like, I just like dove into the trainings. I was immersing myself, like everything was just an aha moment. And it was crazy. And at first like the community aspect, I was like, oh, this is really nice. Like these women, I had kept it a secret for so many years. I had never talked to anyone about it. So it was nice to be in this group of women who like actually could relate to me and everything. But at the same time, I was like, oh, like I can go it alone. Like it's nice to have this community, but like I don't think I really need it. And so I was just sort of sitting on the sidelines at first, and I like could not believe how freely the women were sharing. And I was like, oh my God, like they're being so vulnerable. Like it's crazy. And like I was just in awe of these women like sharing their hearts and like putting it all out there. And I just didn't have the courage to do that yet. Um, and like I was at the beginning of my journey when some of the other women were sort of towards the end. So like I remember Nora and Mac, like some of your former badass clients. And I saw them conquering and like having all these wins. And that was so important for me to see because I was like, hearing from you and seeing you was one thing. And you were always like, I'm not the special unicorn. But in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe she is.
Yeah.
Like, maybe, I don't know. So to see them conquering, I was like, okay, like these women have done it. It's evidence to me that the process works. So, um, little by little, I started coming on and like posting a win or like posting a share, and it felt really good um, to have them, the other women cheer me on when I had a win or like pick me up when I was struggling, and um, it just that was I think diving into the community like that was really for me what picked up momentum.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's I'm glad that you mentioned that because I can share all I want. Like, I'm binge free. This process worked for me. You have to rewire your brain. But there's something about seeing somebody literally plugging into the community, utilizing the root and rewire process, like doing it firsthand themselves and seeing those results. It's like, okay, maybe it's not just Florida. Like, this person's also doing it. And it's funny you mentioned about the community aspect. When I think of Liz, I always think of plugged into the community. And I think it's like there was like a light bulb moment because ever since that time, you were like consistently plugged.
Hmm.
And I feel like you just saw like the benefits of actually leaning in. Like, these ladies are being vulnerable. I want to go all in on this journey. I'm not going to hold myself back. Like, there's a community aspect for a reason. I think sometimes when we think community, like, I used to never want to be part of a community. I'm like, I don't have time. I'm like, people are going to be complaining, like, I'm struggling, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that's not the community. Like, this community
Hmm.
is uplifting and it's vulnerable and it's sharing and I'm celebrating this win. And it shows you what's really possible. And I'm glad that you had that moment because, yeah, the community aspect is really, really huge. For you, you were in the membership, I think it was like 4 months or so.
Hmm.
And then you ended up joining Conquer for just a little bit of time before you jumped into the academy. What made you want to be like, I'm ready for more support, because obviously like you were seeing amazing results in the
Mhm.
membership, but something shifted in you of like, I'm ready to go all in. I'd love to kind of hear from your perspective about that.
Yeah. I was coming to the end of my 6 months in the membership, and it was that was when you created Conquer.
Yeah.
And I had been in a couple of your programs that you were running, but you were like running them all the time. And I always had FOMO. I was like, I need to be in this because when it was like, that's what kept up the momentum. It was like, that's what got me excited and like just really enhanced my commitment. I was like, I'm going all in. It just, it's like the excitement of like really diving into something. And I think every time, sometimes you in your journey get stuck, but you can't really put your finger on like what it is or why. And then you would like come out with this program. I'm like, oh my God, like yeah, okay, that's somewhere where I'm stuck and I need to work on. So when you created Conquer, I was like, okay, I have to do that because then I get access to all the programs. Um, so I did, and I was only in it, like you said, for like a month. And then I was like, okay, like if I'm gonna do this, I am like if I'm gonna commit, I'm going all in. Like I have no choice but to succeed at this. Like I really don't. There's no way that I can live the rest of my life not having a healed relationship with food. Like that, it was just, I just got to that point. I just knew. And I've talked about this before in our academy calls, but like one of the things that the ways in which my life has completely changed since working with you is like being able to take on challenges and step outside of my comfort zone and do scary things. And I think definitely a part of me was scared about joining the academy because I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to like show up every week and like you can't really hide behind Slack. Like you're expected to come on and show yourself and talk through what's going on. So like there was a little part of me that was like that's scary. And so I kind of knew that I needed to.
Yeah.
Um, and it was, the best decision ever. Truly. And I mean, that was what catapulted my progress. I think for me, what the academy did, and it created accountability, but not in the sense of pressure. It
Right.
was, it's such a safe space and like, no, it's the safest space. It's a no judgment zone. But for me, it was like, I would come on the call, have a question or something that I was struggling with, and you would give me a specific plan of action to implement. And so in my mind, I was like, well, I want to be able to come on next week's call and say, you told me what to do, I did it, and here's how it went, and hopefully have a win out of that. So, like, that was something I always kept in the back of my mind. Like, say we had a call on a Thursday, it would be Tuesday, and I'd be like, I would audit like and go back through the week, like, what are some of my wins? Or like, did I do what she said? And so
Yes.
from that perspective, it's like I think I needed that accountability to continue to take action.
Yes.
Like when you're answering to someone, you want to be able to say, like, yeah, I did what you said.
Yeah. I say that they're momentum boosting calls. It's like,
Hmm.
like you come on a call, you got the exact coaching that you need, you go and implement, and you're literally one step closer to your binge free life
Hmm.
every single week. And yeah, it's easy to hide in a community. When there's like a bunch of people, it's like it's easy to hide, or there's only one call a month, like it's easy to kind of hide, but it's like this is a higher level commitment. And of course, like the academy is for that special unicorn. It's like I want to go all in. Like I'm ready for my binge free life. And yes, you do need to show up at a very high level and, commit to this process, but I'd love to kind of hear what was like the biggest like breakthrough moment. I feel like every single person has almost like this turnaround point. Like, okay, things are going good. Like you were in the membership, you've released your food rules, you stopped crazily over exercising, you stopped weighing yourself. And then it's like, okay, we get into Conquer for a month, and then you go into the academy, but things were always going well for you. I feel like it was like this uphill progress. But what was that moment for you where like everything kind of shifted? Was it like a tool? Was it something that I shared? Like, can you remember in your journey if there was like a specific moment that literally changed it all for you?
Yeah. So it was like the first few weeks in the academy, and um, I posted a question. I said, I still had not shared with my husband. And I posted it out to all the ladies and you, and I was like, hey, for those of you who have shared with your partner, like, do you think that it helped you progress in your journey? Like, I think in the back of my mind, I knew the answer. Like I knew I knew what I needed to do, but I think I wanted to hear like, oh, he's not gonna understand anyway, so don't worry about it, you know? And all of the women were like, you know, you have to it's gonna help. Like it's gonna help your progress. And I remember you said in a very gentle way, you were like, you didn't tell me, you need to do this. You were like, if he was going through the same thing, wouldn't you want him to share? And sorry. And that was like, I just talked about like doing scary things. That was the hardest thing I've done in my life
Yep.
by far. Like my husband, the person that I'm sharing my life with and supposed to be, he's the closest person to me. And I've been like leading this double life and he has no idea. And um, it was having having the encouragement of you and the women in my back pocket. I was like, I know I need to do this. I know that this is the thing that's holding me back because I would, in the back of my mind, I through the whole journey up until that point, I was like, I can do this without anyone ever knowing. I was like, I can heal myself and no one will have ever known for this entire time. And that was just not the case. And I didn't want it to be like that because
Yes.
why should I hide this part of me that, yeah, it's an ugly part and I'm not proud of it, but this is me and I am doing something about it. And that's what's important. So I told him, and it was like a huge burden off my shoulders. It was like, it was, it broke his heart to hear, and it broke my heart to tell him because, you know, he was like, "What? I can't believe you, didn't tell me." And he hurt for me, but um, it brought us closer. It, it just, I mean, our relationship has changed in every way. It's like I feel just like I can take this breath of air and I'm like, there's nothing, everything is out on the table now.
Mhm.
There's nothing hidden. And like that was the point where it was just like I really felt like I could go all in and like I could share, whether he understood or not, I could at least share, my journey with him and bits and pieces. And he would ask me like, how was your call today? And like,
Yeah.
I wanted that, I didn't want to hide what I was doing because I'm also really proud of it at this point. It's like, um, I struggled with this problem for over 20 years. And guess what? I've taken action and done something about it. So that was for sure like the biggest breakthrough in my journey.
I remember when you shared on the call that you did that, and I was like, yes, because I know whenever you do something scary, you do something that's like, oh my God, I'm going to be trembling in my pants. Like, this is so freaking hard. This is so scary. It's like you come out on the other side with a massive, massive, massive breakthrough. And we were talking on the call today about like setting yourself free. It's like not only for your relationship, but for you. It's
Mhm.
so heavy. It's heavy to deal with binging and then to like hide it from other people. It's like people know me as this way, and behind the scenes, this is actually what's going on. Like, that is so heavy. And I feel like because you brought it into the light, you were able to heal so much faster because you stopped being ashamed about it. When we are hiding parts of ourselves that we don't like, it's like we stay, yeah, I did struggle in a relationship with food, but I'm getting support. I'm healing. I'm working through it. And because you started feeling better about your progress, it's like I feel like I'm not going to be ashamed of this anymore. Like, I'm freaking proud that I'm doing something. You know how many people have an unhealthy relationship with food and they don't do anything about
Mhm.
it,
Yeah.
So that was, yeah, that was a massive breakthrough in your moment or in your journey. Now, you mentioned about therapy, and I wanted to kind of go back for a second. What do you feel was different about like my root and rewire process, actually like rewiring your brain, seeing binging as a habit compared to like the support that you got in therapy? Like why did this process work so well for you?
Um, it's so funny because if I think back to some of the things that my therapist, some of the tools that she gave me, um, to deal with binge eating, like some of the tools were actually the same, but it didn't land for me. I was just like, I think I still had the mindset of like, I didn't know why it was happening. It wasn't explained to me like this is a habit where you need to rewire your brain. And so I still, in the back of my mind, was like, this is like a trauma thing that I need to like go really deep, like figure this out. And I'm like a very logical and like scientific kind of person. That's how my brain works. And so when I heard you explain it, that it was a habit, I was just like, oh my gosh, this is like so much less scary than, I have to heal this thing that's this trauma that happened to me years ago, and like that's the reason, and blah blah blah. And like it just made so much sense to me. And I think probably two reasons why therapy didn't really work for me, from a food perspective is A, I don't think I was necessarily ready. And B, I didn't think she could really understand. I didn't feel comfortable enough sharing like everything with her.
Yeah.
And now I know for sure, like, even if I had been completely open with her, I don't think she would have been able to give me the tools that I needed to heal. Like, it's completely different when you're hearing it from someone who's been in your shoes. And like, because it's not just there. you always say this, that it's really not about the food, and it's not. Like, the food is a symptom of something bigger,
Mhm.
whether it's body image or your self-worth. Like, it's so much more than that. And your trainings and programs like bring all of that together. It's like there are I mean, if you asked me like what was your, like, what's a tool or something that really catapulted you, and yes, that telling my husband was the breakthrough moment, but like there was never one tool where I was like, that's what helped me. There's so many aspects,
Yeah.
and for everyone it's completely different. And I didn't fully realize that until, several months in, that like, oh, not everyone's journey is going to look the same. And what some people, need to work on in order to heal is going to be different from what other people need to work on. For me, it was so many different things. And like, I think that's why everyone's journey looks different. But yeah, that was a long-winded answer for why I think that, the therapy was great for healing me in other ways, but I think for anyone struggling with binge eating, it's so nuanced, and I think that someone who hasn't been through it, there's no way you can fully understand. You
Yeah.
really can. And that's why when I was saying that when I first started listening to your podcast, like it just blew my mind that like someone else out there had dealt with the same thing. I couldn't believe it. Like every single part.
Yeah.
So
It's so easy to feel like I'm the only person. That's why I can't
yeah,
share or I can't, get support because like there must be something wrong with me. And then you recognize that, especially being in the community, it's like, wow, like there's so many other people that are going through the exact same situation as me. There's nothing to be ashamed about. So I'm glad that you brought that up. So let's dive into some wins. Like, what is your life like now? Like, we've been through
oh
this
gosh.
journey, and holy moly, like night and day difference. What are some things that you're able to experience now that you are free? Like, hold on a minute. Like, you
Yeah.
are free.
I mean, my life is completely different than it was a year and a half ago. Like in every single way. I'm so much more confident in myself. I'm happier, way happier. I don't binge. I don't restrict. I don't overexercise. I haven't weighed myself since the beginning of 2024. Um, I eat what sounds good to me. And then, non-food wins. I'm a lot more patient with my kids. I'm closer to my husband. I know how to process my emotions in a much healthier way. That has been huge for me. Like, I used to have a very, very short temper. And like my family would joke about it, like that, it's always like, don't send Liz off the handle. Like I flip out about like small things. And I am not that way anymore. Like I know how to self-regulate. Like I'm a much more even-keeled person. And then like we've sort of talked about this, but I I quit my job last year that was sucking the life out of me. I had been miserable for a while. And it was early on in my journey, and you had talked about um, finding joy outside of food. So I was like really thinking about, what brings me joy in my life. And I was like, God, my job is sucking the joy out of me. Like, that was one of the first times in my journey that I really listened to my intuition. And I was like, this is scary as shit to to leave this like comfortable job. I've always done it, and the easier thing would be to stay. But in my gut, I knew it was the right thing to do, and it was. And um, what's ironic is that I can now look back and I'm like, I know it was the right decision, but had I stayed, I now know how to create boundaries.
Hmm.
And that would have helped me so much um, in that situation. I know, if I weren't able to quit, like I would have been able to handle it a lot better
Yes.
because I know how to speak up for myself. I know how to create boundaries. And like, I think a lot of my misery was probably self-imposed because I was letting myself be walked over and like not speaking up. So um I have zero regrets, but it's nice to be able to look back and be like, I'm now equipped to be able to handle whatever comes my way. So
Wow. You've strengthened your intuition so much. Like I know we kind of talked about that before, but before it was always like, like what's the logical, like what's the right thing to
mhm,
do? Like, like so heady, like, what's the right thing, masculine energy. And you have just been able to really tap in, like, what's best for Liz, like, what's best for me, what feels right, not like what's the right thing to do. Even with food, like, what's the right thing to eat? It's like what feels good, what sounds good. And being able to actually like tap into that intuition has helped you in so many other areas of your life. And I just wanted to bring that forward because that's a big piece of this journey, not just intuitive eating, it's being intuitive in your life, being able to, say goodbye to your job, being able to say yes to the event, like really like tapping into that intuition has been strengthened throughout this process as well.
mhm. It's made life easier to live because
Yeah.
it's like you don't have to hem and haw and like go back and forth. And I would be like the girl who had the list of pros and cons and like I just you're exactly right. Like I lived in my head and that was especially with the food, just like it was like analysis paralysis where I'm like, oh, I should do this, I should do that. And like how many grams of protein does this have? Me with
Yeah.
my protein.
Yes.
Um, and now it's just like it's so much easier to just like do what feels right in the moment. Like that's it.
Yeah.
And the outcome is never wrong for me. Like I think that's what I'm realizing is like, oh, if I follow my intuition, everything will always be okay. Like,
Yeah. Because you can trust yourself. So even if
yeah,
it's quote unquote not the right decision, it's like you'll always be led to like a better way or like, a
yes,
better path. And that's trust. Like in order to listen to your intuition, you have to trust yourself. And that's something that you've developed along the way as well, too.
yeah.
Wow. Well, this has been so fantastic. Like as we shared in the on the academy call, it's like so beautiful to witness people's journey from like all the way at the beginning to all the way at the end. And like you are someone who decided to go all in. Like you're like, if I'm gonna do this, I'm not gonna half-ass this. I'm literally gonna show up and give it my all. So is there any final things that you wanted to share with anyone listening?
Um, try and do it without getting emotional, but I just want to reflect back to you. I mean, first, thank you for everything, but um, it's been so fun and inspiring to also see you grow as a coach. Um, I think that's really why all of your clients trust you so much because we see you constantly um, improving yourself and leveling up. And I think that's like the greatest gift that you could give to your clients is um, leading by example. It's like you didn't just become a coach and you're like, here, this is the content, we're going to keep it the same way. And like, you're always looking for new ways. And it's just so obvious how passionate you are. And so it's been, I've loved watching you grow as a coach because that's been evident to me too. Like I've been with you for so long now. And so
Wow. Well,
just want to say
I
that.
appreciate that. And, it's like, just like you, it's once you start growing, it's like you can't just go backwards. It's like I've watched you like take one step. Okay, that's great. But you can't just stay there. It's like, what's the next step? And that's why, hence, you went to the membership, then you went to Conquer, then you went to the academy, then you came to the event. It's like I've watched you also do the same thing and almost becomes like, well, this is just who I am. I'm somebody who makes badass moves like over and over. I step out of my comfort zone. I tell my husband, and then now I'm doing these cold plunges and I'm meeting people for the first time and doing these big things. It just becomes this journey that it becomes your new norm.
Mhm.
You can't go back to old ways. It's just I'm not that person anymore. So I'm
Yeah,
glad that, I was able to be that example for you, but you have led the way yourself as well too. So
thank
it's
you.
been so amazing witnessing you. And I'm also so proud of you for coming on this podcast as well too and like sharing your journey. You're going to have this for the rest of your life that you can look back on and just be so proud of yourself. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Of course. Well, we will definitely stay in touch and I appreciate you so much and we'll chat soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye, Liz.